Hi, this is Jeremiah from New Life Counselling. Hope you're doing well today. Hey, it could be that time of the year, it could be that time of the month, it could be that time of the day where you're sitting down and going, man, I gotta get motivated. I gotta do something with my life. I gotta move forward. I gotta do some things and get things going. And then, of course, in the back of your head, or maybe you see a video like this, you hear that what I call the G swear. The G swear? There's a G swear? Well, it may not be the G swear you're normally thinking of, or that may or may not be said, but it's the word goal. Oh, I just said it. Goals. Goals for some people, in that 2 percentile of, humanity are like, yeah, let's do goals, man. Let's get it all done. You may be like me and not completely like that. But I will say this, all right? Goals are very important to write down, to be able to have. And not just in here. Notice what I said, and this is going to be the pain point of today's talk, is actually writing down goals. I'm telling you, even if you don't watch anything I say from this point on, and you go, yeah, that's nice, Jeremiah, click, watch my next video. Take your goals, write them down. Literally, that's it. Because the majority of people out there, and you may be one of that majority, may not have even ever written down a goal. And if you have written down a goal, when's the last time you looked at your goal of what was written down and maybe go, I think I need to write down some more goals. Maybe update my goals, because life changes, things happen. It's maybe you're single, maybe you're young in high school, maybe you're in college, university, maybe you've are kind of going, hey, you know what? I've kind of got a couple kids now, and I'm trying to get work, or I'm working hard, hardly working, and I just am going nowhere in life and don't know what's happening. Of course, maybe there's some relational challenges in that as well. Either way, it's important to put goals down. The purpose for writing goals down is simply this, is that there is something when we get this pen, where's a pen? When we take a pen, and I don't mean just texting. I mean, if you got to text, if you don't know how to write and all you do is know how to type or text, so be it. Better than nothing. But there is nothing like taking an actual physical piece of paper and actually writing down, what are my goals? What are they going to be? Okay. Now, if you're still watching this video, there's a part of you, hopefully, that's going, all right, great, thank you. I've written down goals, but they just never quite seem to get to where I want it to be. What's the next step? Well, first and foremost, one of the things I've observed throughout the years that happens quite often when people talk about goals, or I work through goals or support people with goals, is that they're everywhere. They're scattered. And this is where maybe it helps to organize things a little bit. But the organization I want to come from is more of a timeline aspect, not necessarily the how to do stuff. That will come after. We'll briefly touch on that as well. What I'm talking about is actually breaking your goals down. As a general rule of thumb, 0 to 12 months, in other words, 0 to 1 year goals. Then you want to have another level, and it's broken down to 2 to 5 year goals. And then you want to have 5 to 10 year goals. Now, one of my favorite authors, his name's Jim Collins. He's a leadership kind of guru, marketing, does all the stuff that I don't like to do, like research and all that kind of stuff. That's where I grab his material from, from a business perspective, leadership perspective, not the counseling side of stuff. There's other therapists that are out there that do a great job of that. Jim Collins talks about this very funny thing in one of his books. He talks about, what's your BHAG? And you might be going, BHAG, what is that? Well, it's an acronym, okay? It's nothing weird. It just sounds funny, which is, of course, why I used it, which, of course, why I can remember it without having to even look it up. Because your BHAG just stands for this: big, hairy, audacious goal. It's one thing to write goals down, okay, which is good. But what is that boy, if this could happen this year or 10 years from now or someday, I don't even know if it would ever happen, but if that could happen, man, that would just be amazing. I mean, for some, it could be starting a business. Boy, could you imagine if I actually started my own business rather than working for the man all these years? What if I were to start my own business and actually have employees under me? For others, it might be more self-altruistic. I desire to go on a trip around the world and go to these different places and visit places. You know, all sorts of different goals. Other people got different cool goals too. Like, man, could you imagine if I were to get enough money and be able to give back and actually build something and support something? Everyone's going to have different kind of BHAG goals. Some might be more, self-focused and interested. Others might be other-centric in interests. But what is that thing that you just can't see happening right now? But if it did happen, if it could happen, what's that big, hairy, audacious goal that you need to write at the top of your page and write that down? And on a side note, that's the goal I recommend not sharing with other people. That's between you and you. Okay, it may not even be between you and me. You're always welcome to share that with me. However, what's your thing that no one else takes that dream away, that big, hairy, audacious goal? But from there, we got to break things down in a real practical sense now. Now as we're getting to the real meat and bones of everything we're talking about today. Very practical before we get into any 1 year, 2 to 5 year, 5 to 10 year goals. There's one key word, all right, that I want to have in the back of your mind, okay? And it's simply this: flexible or flexibility. All right. One of the biggest challenges that also gets in the way of goals is just simply either being too rigid or too loose with your goals. But in the middle, there needs to be this flexibility. See, some of the goals you're going to write down, you might even be writing it down as we're doing this now, or you do it afterwards. You might have in the 2 to 5 year column, but all of a sudden, 3 months from now, I got that goal accomplished. Whoa. But there might be other goals that you have within that 0 to 12 months, and it's going to be 6 years from now that it actually gets accomplished because of whatever circumstances or reasons. So we need to allow flexibility. And the reason is simply this: things change, life change, things gets in the way, and we got to make sure that we have the motivation and the momentum to keep going, so that we don't go, what's the point of this goal stuff? I'll just deal with it next year or whatever, all that kind of stuff. No, it actually goes, you know what? I had a plan. I thought I could do this in 6 months, and it turns out it's going to take a little bit longer than I had thought. And that's okay, because I'm being flexible. And guess what? I'm still going to get it done. And when you do get it done, even if it is, let's say, year 3, when you thought it could be done in 6 months, you still did it. That is a yeah, I did it moment that you can take with you and go, all right, what's the next thing I need to do? Now, that being said, from there, yes, very practically, the next step after that is to break it down. Whatever you've got for your year, 2 to 5, 5 to 10 or 6 to 10 year goals, you want to break it down into small parts, okay? Take those small parts. So if you have a goal to, let's say, start up a business, great. I want to start a business in the next, let's say, 3 years, or in the next year, whatever it is that is in your schedule. But from there, you want to take it and break it down. How do I achieve these steps? This is where you can take it and break it down. I need to maybe start a website. I need to start looking at what taxes look like. What kind of, do I want to be sole proprietor? Is it going to be an incorporation? Maybe one before the other. Do I have my team in place? Am I going to need employees? Can I do this self-independently for a period of time? Do I need admin? Do I need support? All of these different things that you can break down. But here's what's also important about this. these actually become mini goals, okay, that when they're done, you can check off and go, yeah, I did it. What's the next thing I need to do? And see, the checking off, all it does is it creates momentum. It actually sends a shot of dopamine to go, yeah, I can do this. And it feels good. We feel good about ourselves when this stuff happens, when we achieve things. So we can work one step at a time to keep working. And before you know it, here I am. Maybe it's 6 months later, maybe it's 7 years later, and I've got my goal accomplished. Oh my gosh, what do I do now? Go back from the beginning and start your next 1, 2 to 5, 6 to 10 year goal sets, okay? But keeping flexibility within all of that. All right, so I hope that gives you something to start with, at least to break down. Now, I will add one more little side note, all right? If you are an individual who is struggling, like really having what some would call a bad year, bad life, dealing with addictions, dealing with maybe just difficult situations because the work environment's tough, the relational environment might be tough, maybe there's no addictions, this is where you are going to have to break things down and go even further back, all right? You're going to have to maybe even just set up daily, weekly, monthly goals, okay? And break that down, for the person who's struggling with an addiction. I just got to be sober for 24 hours. Okay, I got to be sober now for a week. I got to be sober for a month. I got to go for 2 months now, et cetera, and then break that down. How am I going to do it? That might mean having to maybe see some counseling, get some supports in place, get some new strategies and coping skills in place. Maybe it's having to go join a 12-step group. Or if you're not into the 12-step thing, there are other groups out there that aren't 12-step focused, and get that support that you deserve to get help. Maybe there is some relational things getting in the way. That's where couples counseling comes in, or individual counseling to figure out what's happening so that both of you can get on the same page and move forward in your goals. Because as a couple, it's one thing to have individual goals that's what I've been focusing on. But wow, could you imagine if you had my goal, and put the two, what are our goals as a couple? Wow, could you imagine what the two of you could be doing? Moving things forward together in your individual lives and your life together as a couple? Boy, there is potential power in what I just said there, if you caught what I just said. Anyways, lots to chew on, lots to actually do, but at the end of the day, even if you forget everything I've said right now, pick up the pen and write something down, because that is the number one thing the majority of people just don't do. They think about it, they talk about it, but they don't actually write about it. All right, thanks so much. Make sure you click that like and subscribe button, and all the best to you as you set this journey of goals. All the best. We'll talk to you later, YouTube.